No, it's not impromptu at all. Oh. Hi, Stephen.
Hello, Anand. Have
There's
you
a
had a
weird.
lovely day?
Yes, it was a marvelous day indeed. Not too hot.
Excellent.
Definitely felt like summer though.
It did, yeah.
So you might see something on the screen that says Anon's Fathom Note Taker. I'm trying to this for the first time. It's supposed to be taking notes of the meetings. Don't know if it's going to work, but we're going to give it a good try. There she is. Hi, Doriandra. Oh, there you were there, and then you disappeared.
Oh. Now I'm back.
You're
Hi.
back. Hi.
How are you guys doing?
We're good. I'm good. How you doing, Stephen?
Good. Doriandra has a new hairdo.
I see that.
Oh, I think it's the same hairdo. It's just that it was up in a little wad on my head, and you're right, it does look really curly and kind of
Yeah, it's nice.
Thank you.
Not
swank.
quite as glamorous as the latest front page feature.
Say that again?
Not quite as glamorous as the 80-year-old front page.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah,
the ex-jailbird.
That's right. Well, Martha seems to be able to pull off a lot of things, but I won't say much about that.
Photoshop's wonderful.
that's also true. You just wait. Sooner or later, they're going to figure out how to put a screen in front of people's faces, and they can end up looking like anything they want.
I think they have that already.
Yeah. Oh, really? Oh, geez, that's kind of scary.
Yeah.
So you might notice there's something on the screen that says Anon's Fathom Note Taker. I'm not quite sure why it decides that it has to pretend it's a participant, but it's my first use of this thing to see how it works. I'm still working out the bugs, at least as far as I'm concerned. Maybe you can't see it, but in any case, it's supposed to be it's supposed to be taking notes of the meeting, and we'll see how that goes.
Which pronouns does it use?
It, thing, and they.
At one meeting, I once said I used the pronouns me, mine. It didn't get a great reception.
Oh wow! When I was at LCC doing the nursing thing, I was in too many things, and it had just started doing the whole pronouns thing, and they asked me what mine was, and I said pickle. And interestingly enough, I actually got support for that. So I don't know what that means.
Anything goes.
Yeah. And that's fine. I don't care. It's whatever people want is fine. I just don't understand why people fight about it. No, I actually kind of do. So here's the thing. Some of the people who are most vehemently against gay people, in fact, have desires towards people of the same sex. And they've been brought up in families that think that that's horrible. And so they think they themselves are horrible, and they think anybody who makes them feel like that is horrible. But if you use that as an example, then you can start seeing why there are some people who think trans people are horrible because they're secretly attracted to them and they don't like it and it scares them. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it causes all sorts of trouble, mm-hmm. which would be interesting. I wonder what would happen if people started calling them out for that, but I don't know. Okay. I'm going to give it another minute or two. It may just be the three of us, and that's okay. we will record the meeting regardless, and so we all have important information to let people know about. It'll end up being posted and might even end up transcribed. I'm not sure. Oh, here's Thea. Here we go. Hi, Thea.
Hey guys, I'm late.
That's fine. That's fine. So Thea, just to let you know, I'm trying this new application called Fathom, which is supposed to work with Zoom to transcribe things. I don't know how well it's going to work, but you got to try something sometime. So we'll see how it
Thank
goes.
you for trying it.
Yeah, we'll find out. Talk time 84%. So here's the thing: it's telling me it's going to cut off at 6:15. That's totally weird. I don't know.
That's kind of quick.
I don't know. It's weird. All right. In any case, okay. So here's what I'd like to do. Since we all know each other, there's no particular reason for introductions. I'd like to get to Stephen right away because he's the one who has stuff he'd really like to let us know about, and I think we really need to hear it. So Stephen, if it's okay with you, can you go first?
Yeah, I'm just going to take 15, 20 minutes
That's
because
great.
I kind of rushed the trauma presentation at our last meeting, and I did want to allow time for that because I put quite a bit of effort into that. And I had really 3 questions. The first one, did anyone have any questions or need any explanation of anything I said? Second question, did you find it at all useful? And the third question is it worth editing to make it a communication from the Health and Safety Committee to the board as an informational document for the board? So those 3 questions. Any questions? Was it useful? Is it something that could be modified to be presented to the board? As it stands, it's too personal for me to be distributed because it's got a lot of personal stuff. But I would edit it to make it less personal and just refer to one member of our committee and stuff like that. So any question, was it useful? Is it worth editing for the board?
Before we start that, I would just like you to know, Stephen, I eventually found a way to edit the video of that so that it was not included on what we ended up posting. Because you said you didn't really want that. Took a little while to figure it out, but I got it done for you. So I want to let you know that.
It was just the personal stuff with me and the guy that died.
Right.
That I didn't want to go out unedited.
Sure.
Thank you.
Understandable. So, what do people think about Stephen's questions? Don't everybody jump up at once.
I don't think I got them.
So
I can't speak to this.
well, heck, that's probably true. Okay, so Stephen got to talk just about 7 or 8 or 9 minutes at the very last Public Health and Safety Committee meeting, and it was important stuff, but it was brief. So, Doriandra, how did you feel about it?
Muted. I'm muted. There we go.
Yeah. There you go.
I was just pulling it up to put in the chat for Thea to look over real quick. I
was there. I apologize. I just got out of a meeting with 10 city officials, and so my brain's frazzled. So I'm going to look at the chat.
Okay, let me see if I can get it in here. Let's see. I really appreciated it. It left my kind of historical interest brain wanting desperately to learn more about what you had. Let's see, will it go through? Let's see if that'll go. Oh,
there we go.
Okay. There you go, Thea. It's there if you want to open real quick. Anyway, it left me really excited to learn more about the kind of the middle part of what you were talking about, the whole Ferry Street Bridge folks that were evicted there, and then also to learn more about the generational trauma that you mentioned about our native, is native okay to say, our indigenous people?
I usually use tribal, but
tribal, forgive me, yes, okay.
But I'm not sure what the terms are because question is whether they're tribes or bands, but tribal is a fairly
Tribal is
Grace.
more, okay, thank you for correcting me. But to just learn to go deeper into those things, and I know that's a whole nother topic on itself of historical context, but I felt like what you presented briefly was really good. It opened up more questions than it answered for me. So
Yeah, just for the benefit, a quick summary for Thea. It was looking at the impact of trauma on those of us living in the Whittaker, the trauma of the unhoused, and our proximity to it as we're doing this work, and knowing that there's generational trauma of people who lived here before white people came, racial trauma of the Ferry Street Bridge events, sexual trauma and climate trauma, which may be affecting all of us, and a little bit of a quick explanation of what the current thinking is about what trauma is, and when you get stuck in one side of the nervous system and can't move into the healing side. So, Anand, did you have any thoughts about material that I presented?
I love the presentation. I would really like to expand it. I feel it's probably one of the most critical things we could do, honestly. I would like to see more discussion of ways of healing to go with it, because you didn't have time to really go into that much. Sorry about that, but you know, we will make sure we make the time. But I really love the ideas that you brought together, not only the individual traumas, but all various group traumas that everybody's experiencing. I might add that NPR was just doing a series of trauma based on people's concerns for the climate crisis. So that's getting to be a little bit better known. Yeah, I really liked it. I'd like to see it expanded. By all means, take the personal stuff out for sure, but and more on the healing portion. But yeah,
Okay.
I'm really encouraged by this. Thank you.
Great. Okay, I will edit it and send it to Doriandra and Anand for their input, and then we'll kick it around. Then before we decide to do anything further with it, we'll bring it back to the committee for committee consideration.
Cool.
Unless Thea wants, go ahead.
I just read this, Stephen, and one of the things I was thinking was, because we're going to be talking about future general meetings, and go back to where we used to have guest speakers come in. And I could see where we could bring some people around this in, along with yourself, and ways to address trauma in our neighborhood at one of our general meetings.
Sure.
I think it could be really helpful.
I think a lot of the unraveling that we see going on around us is mostly economic, but there's also this underlying traumatic component that is just making it more and more difficult for people to the community to move beyond where we currently are. Now, we may be grappling with things that are way bigger than we have any influence on, but many a mickle makes a muckle, as they say in Scotland.
Oh, do they?
Where even small amounts of effort done in small places can have a ripple effect. The whole butterfly wing in Brazil causing a typhoon in Florida. Okay, I won't take up more time, and I will. So we have a course of action. Thea, did you want to be involved in the editing, or would you like to wait until it comes back to the committee?
If you need my assistance, I'm happy to. Just give me a timeline, because life is really busy right now.
Yeah, okay.
I just discussed this exact topic with the mayor today, and
good.
About 10 other people as we walked through the Whittaker and by the tracks to say, how can this be a safe place for this person whose feet were hanging out of the tent and it's 95 degrees out and 2 trains went by? So that's a lot of trauma to deal with there. So
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you, everybody.
Excellent. Oh, yeah, Doriandra. Oh, you're quiet.
Muted off. I just want to know what a mickle is to make a muckle.
It's a small quantity of anything, I think, and the muckle
any-
just means a large quantity of anything.
Oh, okay.
So
Thank you.
many small things together make a large thing.
That's
Got
true.
it. Okay. I just wanted to check. You know, you Scottish folk have wild ways, so
I have buckets and buckets of similar expressions that I can trot out to confuse people.
Oh, good. Sometimes that's good because when they're confused, sometimes they're open to other things.
There we go.
Confusion can be useful. Okay, Doriandra, I would like you to give an update, but before you do that, I have a fairly quick thing to talk about, which is, and you saw the emails from Jessica LaRue, and she was inviting us. I'm just going to read you her emails. She's Jessica LaRue. I'm project coordinator for the Oregon Rural Practice-Based Research Network, and I'm working on a project called Building Immunity by Building Community. The goal of it is to increase vaccine confidence within communities that have been most impacted by the COVID-19 pandemic. The project is a collaboration between the Oregon Academy of Family Physicians, Boost Oregon, Oregon Health Authority, and the ORPRN. We've provided culturally robust, motivational interviewing training in 20 clinicians who are passionate about serving their communities and educating about vaccine safety through hosting workshops at community events. We're reaching out to you to see if you're interested in hosting one of these workshops at your organization. These presentations will be scheduled through June of 2023, and they can take place in person or virtually. Community participation is encouraged. We have providers who can present in English and Spanish, and we can assist in translation needs if other languages are requested. So I sent her something, and then she sent back, thank you for getting back to me. It sounds to me like you all are doing some wonderful work in your community. I told her about the vaccine things that we've done and stuff, and the housing is healthcare thing. Our workshops do not, I asked her specifically, since they're rural, can they do things for us because we're in the city? And what is it that they would want from our organization? Our workshops do not have to be held in rural areas. They can be anywhere in Oregon. As far as what we want to ask the WCC, if you decide to go through with hosting an event for your community members, we would ask that you advertise the event and bring your community members, as well as find a space to host the workshop in. So that's apparently all they really are asking for, is to have us let people know what's going to happen and provide a space for it to happen at. I've got to tell you, I don't have a lot of spare time or energy right at the moment. I had some things happen to my legs recently, which is kind of an ongoing issue with me. It usually takes a month or two to recuperate from. So I'm not moving around much right now. I mean, I'm going to work and doing what I have to do, but I've actually stopped volunteering over at Occupy Medical because I really just can't do it. I mean, I'll get back to it, but I can't do it right now. So I'm just not going to put myself out there saying I'm going to be doing extra things, because honestly, right now I can't. And Doriandra, don't you do it. I know you want to, but don't do it, because you
I can't.
Yeah, I'm okay. Yeah, that's right. You can't.
I can't.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Anyway, so I just wanted to let people know about this, and I'm going to say what happened at the board meeting as well. But I'm letting you guys know so you can think about it and see what people think about it. Is this the sort of thing that we think we want to be doing? And does anybody have any ideas as to who might be a good person or a venue that might be good if we were to kind of do this sort of thing? So I want a very brief discussion because I don't want to take up a lot of time. I'm much more interested in having updates from Doriandra and stuff. The first thing that came, well, I'm not even saying, I'm going to wait. So anybody have ideas on people or venues? And don't all speak. Doriandra, yeah?
I do. Yeah. A couple things about this. And thank you for pausing me, because I would have been like, we got this, let's do it.
Yeah.
But
Don't do that.
right, I can't possibly. But I think what this is kind of is a invite. Let's see, backing up. This invitation is coming from our grant cohorts with the large OHA grants that we've been working from. And so I think that CBOs across the state are really working to kind of like finalize this process. And so I really like what they're doing, but I also feel like the Whitaker Community Council really excelled in the vaccine confidence changes that were needed in our community, whether it was art or clinics or community outreach, all the amazing stuff that we've all been doing. And so I don't personally feel like we may have a lot of turnout for such an event.
That may be.
Just because I think we're all kind of exhausted from it, and we're focused on just trying to become resilient again as a community rather than adapt to a crisis. So, or finding new crises like trauma that we all have to. So, but if people want to push forward and do it, I would suggest that connection happens through Cheryl at the Eugene Mission, because anything vaccine confidence related could just happen where we were hosting the clinics, and I'm not sure who's got the capacity to do that right now, but I think that
exactly.
So,
any thoughts from you, Stephen?
Vaccines have always been touchy. I mean, we got a general council consensus to do the vaccine stuff, but there's a lot of people, a lot of anti-vaxxers in the neighborhood, and I'm cautious about doing anything to reignite that polarity. It's almost like we've got to pull back together again. And I don't see any of us having the bandwidth to really do the coordination of this, so I'm not sure. I'm probably as hesitant as Doriandra is, but I like the idea of referring it to the mission.
Okay. Thea, feedback. If you're still there.
So if I keep my camera off, otherwise I go away.
I respect that.
If someone else has the bandwidth, yes. Right now I'm working with our community market to activate WJ. So there's some things that came out of today's meeting, and also working on finding some ways to help a lot of the people that are living in our community on the streets. And to deal with the trash that we're dealing with right now. There's a lot of trash out there. It's creating a lot of trauma. We have 3 more businesses that might leave our neighborhood.
That's sad.
And it's because of what's happening. We can't lose any more businesses because of this. And so I don't have any extra bandwidth to give.
I wasn't asking you to volunteer.
No, I know.
I was just asking for any ideas.
If somebody wants to run with it,
Okay, so go ahead, Doriandra.
One other quick thing. The grants are all being sorted out right now. I'm working on them, and Margaret's working on it, Dan. And it's really, there may be funding left over in our bucket that this organizer has wrote to us about her bucket, right? And so if I find in the next week or so that there are a lot of funds left and we need to spend them down, like Jessica's organization is doing, I feel like we could do a really beautiful kind of celebration of life of the folks in the Whitaker that we did lose to COVID.
Oh shit, yeah. That'd be great.
It could be an amazing event, and I already ran it by the folks at OHA who were super supportive of it. And so, it would be like food trucks and a band, and then we would be passing out all of the leftover PPE that we have stored at the Eugene Mission. Which I always wanted to do in advance of summer. Like the masks are incredible if we have a big wildfire crisis again and we can't breathe. So anyway, that's kind of like, I've got something toggled in the works for us as a group.
Mhm.
If we are in a position like Jessica is and needs to, like, gosh, I hope I got her name right. I'm so addled with the heat.
It's Jessica. It's Jessica.
Right. Yeah. Anyway, so that's kind of a feather in my hat in case we need to do our own thing. And again,
Right.
it's this intense timeline of finishing by June 30th. So it's kind of, it seems preposterous, but anyway.
Well, it's interesting because she was saying that their stuff has to end on the 30th too, which doesn't surprise you, I'm sure. But she said that
No.
their actual activities are going to end by the middle of June, probably because they have
Yes,
to spend the rest of it wrapping up and stuff. So
that's it.
just for whatever it's worth, my thoughts are this. Two of the most important medical developments that humans have done are hygiene and vaccines. And unfortunately, during the pandemic, not only were people hesitant to get vaccines for COVID-19, a lot of them stopped getting vaccines for other things too. And that's a problem because you do not want to see the return of mumps and measles and rubella and a whole host of other things that we've essentially wiped out because of the use of vaccines. So if they've figured out a way to convince people to use them, I would really love to encourage that. But having said that, I know that a lot of us are on the ragged edge of things, and I'm not asking anybody to do anything. I'm just saying I think this is fairly important, and if we can think of a way for it to happen, that wouldn't be a bad thing. And that's all I got to say about it. And I will now shut up. But I am going to do. Hopefully, I'm going to be able to present a little bit of this at the board meeting to get some other minds thinking about it too. The other place I was thinking besides the mission, which of course would be the first thought because that's where we get our vaccine, but possibly we could enlist Illuvium because they've been doing a lot of things for the community as well. So I don't know. I don't really have a lot of energy to put into this because of my current physical condition, and I'm certainly not going to ask anybody else to do shit that I don't do. So because I don't do that. But just thinking about it, if you think of anything, let me know. I want to get back to Jessica in the next week or so. Certainly by the end of May, we want to make sure that whatever it is we decide, we let them know about. Because I don't want them hanging. They've got other things to do too. So I really support what they're doing. And if we can be involved, great. And if we can't, I wish them well. Okay, having said that, Doriandra, what's going on?
Oh, okay. Yeah, it is going really well. The housing grant is in full speed motion. Being able to go to full time on that was huge. Having the board approve the advertising package was huge. I kind of whipped together a whole advertising package and plan in about a week and had it implemented as soon as contractors and stations and radio were ready. And so the numbers are absolutely shocking. I mean, everything is doubled in terms of the intake and the recipients that I'm able to approve. So the numbers are wild. Like for instance, in the month of April, we had only a total of 32 applicants, and I am at 33 applicants now at the half mark. Yeah. And then, moving back over to April, I had a total of 12 families that I got through the pipeline and confirmed and stopped the problems with them. And now at the half of May, we're already up to 15. So it really worked well. And I heard of someone that had a clever idea. They were like, if you could just put signs all over, the telephone poles in the WIT, the Whitaker Community Council wants to pay your rent, so amp it up. And I was like, oh, please don't do that, because I can't, no more advertising. So that feels really good. And it's felt really good to be able to just, turn the tap on full and go. So I think also the specific advertising is really helpful. I'm not sure if everyone saw in the Eugene Weekly, the specific one for tenant caused unsafe conditions like hoarding.
Right.
So far there's 2 of those in the queue that I'm toggling, and one is really interesting that shows just how the program really is becoming so relevant in the Whitaker. A property manager on one of our main big apartments there on 5th knew of someone, an elderly person that was really struggling with a medical condition and hoarding, and that person was taken to Riverbend, and kind of a big crisis developed. And like I had an intake where it was somebody on the behalf of someone else that you know had such barriers that they couldn't apply to the program themselves. And so that's been just excellent. And then some good news for, I told you, Anon, but you know, it was kind of like, well, what happens when suddenly, you know, I get someone that needs help with hoarding services? How do we deal with this? I had collaborated with folks up in Portland at the Community for Positive Aging, and they were telling me that muck out services is what they call them, can be up to $15,000. And it was just gobsmacking because clearly we couldn't afford to do that. But anyway, so I have 2 partners now. One is a fellow that, you know, when like somebody's death goes unnoticed for a week or 2, that's the kind of person that comes in, and he handles like crime scenes and really big, intense things. But part of what he does also is the sensitive nature of deep cleanouts for folks experiencing mental illnesses. And so much more qualified than the first person that I had connected with that really focused. Yeah, I had found one community member that's really excellent at organizing and making sense of chaos. But then when we dove in and realized that clients, you know, it was a lot more serious than organizing. It was really hazardous stuff that we had to deal with. So now we have 2 excellent contractors kind of in the queue waiting. And so that's going to be exciting, because if one situation is a little either or, then we have 2 people to call on quickly. And the one that handles the real severe cases, as a business, they were so excited about this program because they said that, you know, they have a lot of elderly folks calling for help, and that, you know, it's a business, they have to charge money, but sometimes they can't help. And so now I feel like we'll have an advocate for our communities that maybe wouldn't reach us in any other way.
Oh, that's great.
Yes, that's, I know, it's so exciting. I just said, call me immediately and we'll get them in the queue. And then this company is really excited to just focus on that if we can mobilize. And so that's just thrilling. I mean, I have a family member that struggles with that. My grandparents struggled with it. I mean, there's a lot of details with all of that, and the reasons why people accumulate things, and it's just so anyway, so that's really good news. And still thus far no help or no folks needing pet money. I guess that I don't know why that section's never been utilized. I'm trying, you know, with the advertising. I don't know if you folks got to see the great commercial that we did at Thea's house. Did y'all see that online? Or
the little drone kind of flying over
drone,
yeah. That was cool.
Really precious. Yeah, really, really precious.
I did see it online, but I never saw it on TV.
You what?
I saw it online, but I've never seen it on TV. I have friends that have seen it.
Yeah, I've never seen it on TV either. I guess I don't watch enough TV, but I'm hearing that it's airing. So
that is so cool.
Yeah, it was a great little video. It was so fun. We did, you know, Thea, Margaret was there, and my dad and Richard were on the porch. It was really sweet.
Aww.
And then we filmed the part of Thea's street, and I had my dad and his dog walking down the street when the person's talking about the pet deposits. And you know, then it was fun to kind of go search out one of the murals and have the drone go over that. So anyway, that was super fun. I never got to kind of figure out a commercial before. That was great.
Cool.
So that's been really working well. And yeah, just I'm in real tight communication with the OHA as we kind of trying to wind down the grant cycle, and that's been pretty stressful into itself. But
I see you,
Yeah.
Stephen.
Oh, sorry, go ahead.
I didn't want to interrupt. I just
Right.
wanted to indicate I will have a question.
Okay, I was rambling, so do you want to ask?
Yeah. Before the election, under the old administration, you were having trouble getting checks cut. How is the situation now with the new board?
It's fabulous. Yeah, we've moved to the bi-monthly system, and Margaret is amazing. She cut through the kind of the difficulties with that, and so we're on track, and it's just amazing to be able to get the checks in my hand and get them in the mail. So we're on a really good cycle now. You know, like I closed my books, so to say, a week in advance, and then the bookkeeper has a week to get the checks cut, and then Margaret signs, and then I've got them in the mail the next day or as soon as I get them in my hand. So yeah, just having that open up has been hugely excellent.
The reason why I asked that question is I submitted a check for payment about almost a month ago, and I've not heard a word from Dennis, even though I copied it to Dre and the former financial team. But I just wanted to make sure that wasn't impacting you also. So it's good to hear.
Oh, I don't quite understand. You need a check, or I didn't catch all of that.
No, it's just to check for some of the research work that is being done. And so long as they're prioritizing your stuff, that's good, because this is not time sensitive, even though it's still due to be paid. But I just wanted to make sure that it wasn't affecting, a slowdown wasn't affecting you too.
Oh gosh, yeah, I'm sorry, I don't have any understanding of anything, any checks that need to be made outside of my program, but
it's only $70, so it's not a big deal. And
okay.
if there's a public comment at the board, I may raise the question.
Good, yeah.
And if all else fails, I'll set Margaret on them.
She'll
always public comment, always.
Yeah. Thank you. Good to hear.
So, Dorandra, just one question, which is, what else would you like to be doing, and do you need any assistance?
Thank you. No, I am okay right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm okay. There's a lot
Good.
of, there's a lot of numbers, and we're trying to kind of sort through the books, because I volunteered to close out the grant cycle for WCC. So, because I mean, I did it once with the CDC thing. I had worked through the whole cycle, and since I have so much understanding of what expenses were from my side of the program, so I'm feeling a little stressed about that, but I'm determined to see it home, and I'll be working on that in the month of July once we close all the books for the housing. So I've just got my head down every day on the phone, reaching landlords. I mean, today it was driving out to apartments to, it's been a lot, but it's great to have more hours to do it. And there's some breathing room in the process. So
you're talking about the grant cycle, right? So when does it start up again? I mean, does it go immediately from the end of June to starting back up in July, or is there some sort of lag time?
Yeah, great question. Basically, all of our funding stops on 6/30. So what that means is that all the fundings we have in the buckets for community engagement and outreach regarding COVID or the housing grant have to be completely spent down by that date. So from that point, it's really a bit of a waiting game. I know that in the final reports that I will write, and all the other community-based organizations around the state will be writing during the month of July. All those community kind of narratives will be taken to legislation by the OHA. In the hope that the incredible work that we've all done across the state will engender a refunding or
Aha.
not refunds, but
Yeah.
refunding
Right.
and into the pools again. And so, I'm on these weekly meetings kind of with, we're all listening carefully to see if there's any clues about real timelines, but as of yet, there are none.
Got it.
I do know that last week's meeting with the OHA was really great, and that they were, they were kind of asking for CBOs that had leftover community engagement funds related to vaccine confidence to just give the money back, because they have some new ideas about how to then turn it over and give it back to us in different formats and projects. So it's a huge unknown at this time, but hopefully as the grant cycle closes, we'll get more info and I'll share it with you then.
Great. Thank you. Stephen. You're muted, Stephen.
My understanding is that the state budget process is kind of on hold right now, largely because of the Republican walkouts.
Oh, yeah.
So that may be spreading a cloud of uncertainty over not just OHA, but all state government agencies are probably scrambling at this point. So that should be borne in mind. These poor souls not knowing what's going to be happening there.
Right. Good point.
Well, I am somewhat encouraged that Tina Kotek did in fact say that housing was a big priority for her. And I don't know how that's going to affect the legislature, but it's something. And of course, our hopefully reelected, well, not reelected because she wasn't elected the first time, Lindsay, who's theoretically should end up being our representative again. That was a big focus of hers as well. Mental health and housing, which I pointed out to her when we did a survey of residents in Whitaker a few years back. Those were the two top things for most of the people here, was mental health and housing. So yeah, she seems to go right along with it. So at least we have some people in the right place. I am also somewhat encouraged that although some people who were running for office were saying we should demand the county do this stuff, they shouldn't be forcing the city to take care of it. I tend to be more of the mind that it's really everybody's responsibility. And sure, the county should be putting money into things, but the city should too. And honestly, neither of the two entities is taxing the wealthy enough, because nobody does. Yeah, I think anyway, I'm slightly encouraged, and we'll just see. And you're absolutely right, Doriandra. We'll just have to wait and see how things go. But I am so thrilled about how much good we and you have been able to do. Yeah, it's wonderful. Really, it is.
Yeah.
And we will do more somehow or other. We will do more. Yes. Does anybody else have anything else to do? I'm perfectly happy closing things early and getting things ready, because I'm going to have to record the next one too. Do you anything else? Any other words of wisdom or dirty limericks, or anything interesting?
It is related to public health and safety. I did just meet, I'm going to share at the board meeting tonight.
Cool.
But I did just meet with an entire host of players, the mayor, the assistant city manager, Jeff Petrie, who's in charge of the neighborhood service officers, a lieutenant from the EPD, Union Pacific. And I think that we're going to get Union Pacific and the city to actually work together to do some cleanups. And I had some conversations with the mayor about this can't be healthy for people. It's not healthy for, the trains were going by like crazy. It was hotter than bejesus. They're laying on trash,
Yeah.
So we had some pretty interesting conversations about that today.
That's encouraging.
Yeah. What a day you had. My gosh.
You're a bit frozen there.
No, I froze. That's why I keep my camera off.
I got it.
So I am give updates tonight. Okay.
Excellent. That'll be great.
Good. We're excited to hear, Thea. It's really cool. Thank
right.
you for being out there today and getting that done. It's amazing.
Yeah. See you all in a little bit. I'll go
Yeah.
eat my
Okay.
dinner.
Yep. Go have fun. See you guys a
Perfect.
little bit later.
See you in
Ta-ta.
15 minutes. Okay.
Yep.
Bye.
Bye.